You've been told that sleep is rest, a simple biological necessity like drinking water or eating food. But what if I told you that every night, as your body slips into stillness, your mind begins a journey, one that science is only beginning to understand, and ancient wisdom has long known? Picture this. Your eyes close, your breathing slows, and while your heartbeat finds a quieter rhythm, something remarkable begins. Your consciousness does not fade. It shifts, travels, it explores. For decades, we've reduced sleep to a function of the brain, something mechanical, chemical, almost mundane. Yet the more we study it, the more mysterious it becomes. Scientific research has shown that during REM sleep, the brain becomes more active than when we're awake. Electroencephalogram, EEG, readings show waves of electrical activity that resemble waking consciousness. Yet we call this unconscious. But how can unconsciousness be more active than awareness? Even stranger, during REM, our bodies become paralyzed, a state known as atonia, while our minds roam freely. What evolutionary purpose could this serve, if not to protect us while our consciousness temporarily detaches from the body? Stanford neuroscientist Dr. Stephen LaBerge's groundbreaking research on lucid dreaming proves that the mind can become aware within a dream and even interact with the waking world. In his studies, lucid dreamers were able to move their eyes in specific patterns during REM sleep as a way to signal researchers that they were conscious inside the dream state. What this means is astounding. Part of us remains aware, deliberate, and even able to communicate from within the dream world. Does this not suggest that sleep is far more than a shut-off switch? Now let us turn to the wisdom of the past, not to romanticize it, but to illuminate a truth long obscured. Ancient Egyptians believed in the Ba, a part of the soul that left the body during sleep and wandered the dream realm. Tibetan monks practiced dream yoga, mastering their dreams as training for the moment of death, believing that consciousness could transcend time and space. In indigenous American cultures, dreams were portals, sacred visits to the spirit world, often used to seek guidance for the tribe. Are these myths, or are they encoded knowledge that modern science is only now rediscovering? When you dream of places you've never visited, speak with people you've never met, or recall symbols so vivid they stay with you for years, you are not simply experiencing neural noise. You are touching something beyond the limits of ordinary perception. The University of Virginia's Division of Perceptual Studies has cataloged thousands of cases of people who, through dreams or altered states, retrieved information they could not have known otherwise, some even predicting future events. These aren't isolated anecdotes. They're carefully documented cases challenging the materialist view of the mind. Now, imagine what this means for you, especially at this stage in life, when you've witnessed decades of change, loss, love, and rebirth. What if sleep isn't a slow fading away, but a rehearsal for remembering who you really are? What if each night offers a chance to explore a world that your waking mind has forgotten but your soul still knows? Here's something simple and practical you can try. Tonight, before you sleep, ask yourself a question you've long wondered. Write it down. Place the paper beside your bed. When you wake up, write down anything you recall, no matter how small. Over time, patterns will emerge. This is not magic, it is memory. Dream recall improves with intention, and intention, my dear friend, is the beginning of transformation. We are not talking about abandoning science in favor of mysticism. We are talking about reintegrating what science alone cannot yet measure: the lived experience of consciousness. You have spent a lifetime accumulating wisdom. Perhaps now is the time to trust that some knowledge doesn't reside in books or studies, but in the quiet voyages your mind takes each night. You don't need to believe in anything supernatural to sense that dreams matter. All you need is curiosity, a willingness to observe, and the courage to ask, what if I've only just begun to understand the world I visit in sleep? Tonight, when your head rests on the pillow and the world falls away, remember this: your journey is just beginning. As we explore the deeper nature of sleep, we find ourselves standing between two worlds, one rooted in the language of science, the other in the quiet wisdom of philosophy and tradition. For years, modern science has taught us that sleep is nothing more than the brain's way of cleaning house. A nightly reset where neurons fire at random and the mind dreams in meaningless images. This explanation is neat, efficient, and utterly incomplete. In truth, sleep reveals a paradox. While our physical bodies remain still, our inner worlds awaken. EEG machines show that during the REM stage of sleep, the brain's activity resembles that of a person fully awake. Blood flow increases in regions of the brain associated with memory, emotion, and vision. How can we call this unconsciousness when so many people report dreams that are more vivid, more emotional, and more meaningful than anything they experience in waking life? Carl Jung, one of the most respected minds in psychology, believed that dreams were not just expressions of the subconscious but direct communication from a deeper layer of self, what he called the collective unconscious. In many ways, he was speaking the same language as ancient mystics, just translated through the lens of modern psychology. If you've ever had a dream so powerful it stayed with you for days or even years, you've touched something real. And you're not alone. Consider the thousands of cases documented by researchers like Dr. Ian Stevenson at the University of Virginia, whose studies on reincarnation and memory often began with a child's vivid dream or vision. Or take the work of Dr. Charles Tart, who conducted controlled experiments in the 1960s on out-of-body experiences. In one study, a subject under sleep observation accurately identified a 5-digit number placed out of view, a feat that, by current understanding, should be impossible. These are not fringe experiments but carefully designed inquiries into what the mind can do when it is free from the constraints of physicality. And perhaps most strikingly, we now know that during deep sleep, the glymphatic system, our brain's waste disposal mechanism, is 10 times more active than during waking hours, cleansing toxins and renewing cognitive clarity. It is almost as if the body takes care of itself while the mind goes elsewhere to remember, to reconnect. Across cultures and time, sleep has been regarded as sacred. The Greeks built temples to Asclepius, where patients would sleep in hopes of receiving healing visions. The Hebrews spoke of prophetic dreams as divine messages. Native American elders teach their children to walk their dreams by treating them as real experiences worthy of reflection and action. Why would so many civilizations treat dreams with reverence if they were merely byproducts of brain chemistry? The answer lies not in choosing science over spirit, but in uniting them. Science measures the patterns. Philosophy asks why those patterns matter. We need both to see clearly. So how can we begin to apply this understanding in our own lives? Start with a simple but powerful practice. Keep a dream journal. Place it on your nightstand, and before you sleep, set an intention. Say aloud, "Tonight I will remember something important." When you wake, write down anything you recall, a feeling, an image, even a single word. Over time, your mind will adapt, your recall will sharpen, and you will begin to notice threads of meaning that weave through your dreams like golden fibers in a tapestry. This is not just self-reflection. It is self-restoration. Especially for those of us in the later chapters of life, dreams offer a gentle mirror to revisit, reframe, and reconnect with what still wants to be understood. You are not a passive sleeper. You are a traveler, a witness to something profound that continues each night beneath the surface of awareness. And as science slowly confirms what the sages have always said, that the mind extends beyond the brain, that dreams reveal more than fantasy, you have the opportunity to become an explorer in your own life. Do not let another night pass without honoring the world you enter when you close your eyes. Begin to listen. Begin to remember. Begin to trust that the truth of who you are is larger than the body that carries you and older than the years that define you. Your dreams are not shadows of the past. They are bridges to something greater. If you've ever awakened from a dream with the feeling that it meant something more, that it was trying to show you something just beyond your grasp, then you are not imagining things. You are remembering, if only for a moment, what many have forgotten. Dreams are not illusions, nor are they psychological waste. They are doorways. Within their strange, shifting landscapes lies a truth so old and so powerful that it has survived across civilizations, buried not in textbooks but in lived experience. The modern world may tell you that dreams are meaningless, but your heart knows better. Every night, when you drift into sleep, your consciousness has the chance to lift from the body and explore a space unbound by gravity, clocks, or names. This is not poetry. It is a description of what millions have experienced and what science is slowly beginning to confirm. Consider the growing field of lucid dreaming, where people become aware inside the dream and can move through it with intention. In 2012, researchers in Germany conducted MRI studies that captured lucid dreamers performing specific actions, like clenching their fists, inside the dream world. These actions lit up the motor cortex of the brain, even though the physical body remained asleep. What does this tell us? That the mind is active, aware, and engaged in experience independent of physical motion. In other words, it is possible to be conscious beyond the constraints of the physical body. This echoes the Tibetan Buddhist tradition of dream yoga, a practice thousands of years old in which monks learn to remain awake during sleep, using dreams as a spiritual training ground. And here, once again, science and philosophy converge. Both recognize that awareness does not end when the body rests. Continues, it learns, it remembers. Many people who cultivate dream recall and lucidity report meeting figures they have never seen before, visiting places so real and detailed they awaken with tears or a sense of homesickness. These are not hallucinations. In some cases, two people have shared the same dream environment and recalled identical features independently. Remote viewing experiments funded by the U.S. government in the 1970s and 80s revealed that the mind can access distant locations and events without physical travel. This suggests that the dream space may not be limited to your own mind, but a shared plane of consciousness, a kind of psychic landscape where memory, possibility, and reality blend. Philosophers from Plato to Descartes have proposed that the world we see when we are awake may be no more real than the one we touch in dreams. The line between waking and dreaming is not a wall but a doorway. So how can this help you here and now in your daily life? First, shift your perspective. Stop treating dreams as fleeting or silly. Begin to see them as experiences, just like waking memories, worthy of attention and reflection. One of the most empowering actions you can take is to begin a dream practice. Each evening, as you lie in bed, speak an intention gently in your mind. Tonight, I will remember and understand my dreams. Keep a pen and notebook beside you, and when you wake even in the middle of the night, write down anything you recall. Don't wait until morning. Even a single image or word can unlock meaning later. Over time, you will find your dream memory strengthening, and more importantly, you will begin to recognize patterns. Recurring themes, symbols, and places will emerge. These are the threads of your inner language, speaking not in logic but in metaphor. The dream world is not just a reflection. It is a rehearsal, a mirror, a classroom. If you practice awareness in dreams, you strengthen awareness in waking life. This has profound implications. Studies in neuroplasticity show that what we imagine and what we physically do activate many of the same neural pathways. So when you fly in a lucid dream, when you face a fear or embrace a loved one, your brain records the experience in ways that can affect your mood, resilience, and even healing. Dreams become more than stories. They become medicine. At this stage in life, many people begin to reflect on legacy, purpose, and what lies beyond. Let your dreams guide you. They carry wisdom, often from parts of yourself that go beyond memory or identity. You may find yourself speaking to a younger version of yourself or a figure of light who offers comfort or direction. These are not to be dismissed. In dreams, the soul speaks in a language that the waking mind forgets but the heart still understands. So I invite you, take your nights seriously. See them as a time not just to rest, but to return to something timeless. The next time you dream, ask yourself not was it real, but what did it show me? In doing so, you begin a quiet revolution, one rooted not in escape but in remembrance. And with each remembered dream, you reclaim something that was never lost, only waiting to be seen again. What if I told you that the reason most people forget their dreams isn't a flaw of memory, but a feature of the system we live in? Every morning, as sunlight filters through your window and your alarm reminds you of obligations, something else happens, something subtle, yet profoundly important. Curtain falls. The vivid landscapes, emotions, and symbols of your dream begin to fade, slipping through your fingers like water. You sit up, perhaps remembering a piece of it, maybe a face or a phrase, but then the rush of routine pulls you in and the dream dissolves. This fading is not accidental. It is the result of generations of conditioning, a kind of social anesthesia that teaches us from a young age that what happens in dreams is unimportant. But the truth, supported by both ancient wisdom and modern science, says otherwise. Neuroscientist Matthew Walker, author of Why We Sleep, notes that during REM sleep, the brain is actively forming associations, processing memories, and integrating emotional experiences. And yet, culturally, we give this rich inner life no space, no respect, and no training. Throughout history, cultures that valued inner exploration developed methods to preserve dream memory and navigate dream space. The Tibetan practice of dream incubation involved setting intentions before sleep and maintaining gentle awareness during transitions into dreaming. Ancient Greeks visited healing temples where they would sleep with the hope of receiving guidance from the gods through dreams. Even early Christian mystics kept dream journals as records of divine communication. These were not fringe ideas, they were pillars of spiritual life. In sharp contrast, our modern Western culture treats dreams as noise and sleep as merely a health requirement. This split between function and meaning has left many of us adrift, disconnected from a source of personal wisdom available to us every single night. Yet this can change, and it begins with a simple act: remembering. When you wake up, before reaching for your phone or turning on the television, pause. Let your mind remain still, eyes closed if possible, and gently scan your memory for impressions. You may not recall a full narrative, but perhaps a color, a sound, or a vague sensation. Write it down immediately. Keep a small notebook by your bed or even a voice recorder. Neuroscience confirms that memory consolidation is strongest when acted upon quickly, and dreams are no exception. The act of remembering is like strengthening a muscle. The more you do it, the more vivid your recall becomes. And over time, this practice begins to rewire your relationship with sleep itself. You no longer fall asleep to escape the day, but to enter another dimension of your own mind, one rich with messages, metaphors, and insight. Now imagine what it would mean if millions of people over the age of 65 began doing this together. Imagine if, instead of surrendering to the notion that aging is only about decline, we embraced the idea that it brings us closer to a threshold of deeper remembering. As the body slows, the soul becomes more still, more receptive, more attuned to that which cannot be measured in steps or schedules. You have lived a lifetime of experience. Your dreams are not random images. They are a synthesis of your wisdom, your fears, your love, and your legacy. In fact, studies on older adults show a heightened dream intensity during life transitions such as retirement, relocation, or bereavement. These dreams are not meaningless. They are attempts by your deeper self to guide you, to integrate, to make peace. Do not underestimate what it means to reclaim your inner life. Doing so may not only offer spiritual insight but practical clarity. Some report dreams that help them make financial decisions, reconnect with estranged family members, or even identify health issues before symptoms appear. Lucid dream researcher Robert Waggoner recounts numerous cases where individuals experienced healing or breakthrough ideas while dreaming. If we are open to the possibility that sleep is not an absence but a presence, then we begin to see it as a doorway, not a wall. So tonight, when you lie down, remember that you are not falling into nothingness. You are crossing into a realm where the rules are different, where your spirit speaks in symbols and your mind remembers what your body forgets. Begin treating your sleep as sacred, not only for health, but for awakening. If you commit to remembering your dreams for even 1 week, you will notice a shift. And with that shift comes awareness. And with awareness comes choice. And with choice, the power to shape your life anew, from the inside out. Now that we've opened the door to the deeper truth about sleep and remembered the value of dreaming, the question becomes urgent. What will you do with this knowledge? You see, it is one thing to awaken for a moment, to catch a glimpse of the unseen, but quite another to remain awake, to live in alignment with that insight day after day. The world around you is not neutral in this process. It is designed to pull you back into routine, into distraction, into the illusion that life is only what is measurable and material. But you, having seen through the veil, must now make a choice. You can either let this truth slip back into forgetfulness, or you can begin the real work of reclaiming your mind as a creative force. This is not abstract philosophy. It is a practical revolution that begins in the quietest part of your life, your own attention. Neuroscience teaches us that attention is a limited resource. Dr. Daniel Goleman, author of Focus, explains how the modern world fragments our awareness, weakening our ability to reflect and make conscious choices. But when we consciously redirect our focus inward, especially during dream states, we train the brain to prioritize inner meaning over outer noise. This is supported by functional MRI studies that show increased activity in the prefrontal cortex, the seat of executive function and insight, during lucid dreaming and deep meditation. In other words, the same part of your brain responsible for decision-making in waking life is activated when you become aware in a dream. Think about that for a moment. If you can become conscious in a dream, you are literally practicing the skill of conscious living. You are strengthening the part of your mind that resists impulse, that sees the bigger picture, that chooses wisely. This is why spiritual traditions across the world, from Sufi mysticism to Taoist practice, emphasize dream work not as entertainment, but as training. When you learn to fly in a dream, you are not escaping reality. You are learning that limitations can be questioned. When you face fear in a dream and choose not to run, you are not pretending. You are rehearsing courage in a space where the stakes are real to the soul, even if invisible to the body. Now, let's talk application. Begin by making your dream life a priority. This means creating a sleep environment that invites awareness. Dim the lights an hour before bed. Avoid screens. Take 5 minutes to breathe deeply, to reflect, to set an intention for the night. Ask a question. Offer a prayer. Not out of superstition, but to signal to your mind that this time is sacred. And when you wake, resist the urge to rush. Stay still. Let the images come. Even fragments matter. Write them down. If you feel bold, revisit them at night before sleep, as if you are continuing a conversation. Over time, you may find that your dreams begin to respond. For those who feel called to go further, I recommend cultivating lucid dreaming through reality checks during the day. Every few hours, ask yourself, am I dreaming? Look at your hands. Read a line of text, look away, and read it again. This habit trains your brain to question reality, and eventually you'll ask the same question inside a dream. And when you do, you will awaken inside a world shaped by thought itself. This is not fantasy. This is self-mastery. Studies at Heidelberg University found that individuals who practiced this consistently not only gained dream control but reported increased confidence, emotional resilience, and even greater satisfaction in waking life. You see, the borders between waking and dreaming are not as rigid as we've been told. They are more like shorelines, shifting with the tide of your awareness. And here lies the philosophical truth. If you can shape your dream world with thought and attention, what does that say about your waking life? The same mind that flies in dreams is the mind that chooses your words, your habits, your beliefs. If you've spent a lifetime believing that the world is fixed, perhaps now is the time to question that. Perhaps the power to transform your life, your relationships, your inner peace lies not in changing everything around you, but in changing the way you see. Consciousness is the lens, and you are not its prisoner. You are its guide. So I invite you now, as one elder to another, as one seeker to another, to reclaim the most overlooked source of your personal power, your own awareness. Let sleep become your temple. Let dreams become your compass. Let the insights you receive in the quiet of night shape the way you walk through the day. Because in doing so, you do not just awaken within a dream. You awaken within your life. And that is the beginning of freedom.